All right, you're good to go.
Hello, happy Monday, guys. Welcome to Kids Club. I am Lynn Lilly, and I am so excited to be here with Crayola all week, bringing you 2 fun crafts every day this week. So I'm excited you guys are here. If you have questions as we go through, you're going to see the chat box to Rosanna. Rosanna will be monitoring your questions, and she'll be shouting those out to me so I can answer any questions that you guys have. So if you need me to repeat a step as we go, or you've got a question about what I'm using, you guys post those to Rosanna, and she'll be sure to either respond in the chat box or she'll call those out to me. All right, guys, who's excited? Today, we're going to be making 2 crafts. We're going to get started with coffee filter flowers, and then I'm going to teach you how you can do your own stamp rolled art using craft rolls. Okay, so to get started, here's what we need for our coffee filter flowers. We need coffee filters. So your parents may have some of these laying around the house, nothing special about them, just regular coffee filters. You're also going to need your Crayola washable markers. Okay, so the key here is that you use washable markers. Okay, they got to be washable for this to work. And the other thing that we need is a cup of water. So you can just use a plastic throwaway cup, and you need to fill it with water. We also want to make sure that you guys put some paper towels down or a newspaper or something to cover the surface that you're working on. We're going to turn these into flowers. So you're also going to need your Chanel stems, also known as pipe cleaners. So those are green, but you can use any color that you want. All right, so step 1, I want you to go ahead and pull out a coffee filter. So we're going to start with just one. And you want to go ahead and flatten it out. So you'll notice when you pull it out, it is kind of still like a cup shape. So just go ahead and flatten that out on your surface. And then I want you to go ahead and pull out your Crayola washable markers and pick 2 colors that you want to start with. So I'm going to go ahead and pick a blue, and I'm going to pick a pink. Yes, we've got a question.
Can they use watercolors if they don't have washable markers?
Yes, so you can use watercolors. If you're going to be using Crayola watercolor paint, you actually really won't have to dip it in water. As long as you paint and put a lot of excess water on while you're painting, you'll get the same effect. All right, so take your markers, and we'll start with one, and you guys can draw any design that you want. I'm going to start from the outside and just do squiggly lines in towards the center, and I'm going to rotate around my coffee filter and do that. And then I'm going to come back in with my red and do that. Yes, we've got another question.
Is there a good substitute for coffee filters?
Yes, so if you guys don't have coffee filters, you can also use tissue paper. But if you're going to use tissue paper, go ahead and make sure you double layer it. So fold it in half so that it doesn't get too thin when you dip it in the water. So tissue paper is a good alternative. So take your second color, and you can just color in between. Now, you don't have to do the same design I'm doing, guys. You can do polka dots. You can do whatever you want. And if you do have questions, remember Rosanna is monitoring that chat. So you can go ahead and ask those questions, and we'll do our best to answer them. All right, so what I'd love to do is, as you guys are coloring, can you hold up to the screen? I want to see what you guys have made. I want to see your designs that you picked. Can you guys show me your designs? All right, you guys, they're looking really good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our coffee filter. So again, keep it flat, and we're going to fold it in half. Okay, so fold it in half. Remember, we started, we're going to fold it right in half. And then we're going to fold it in half again. Okay, so it looks like we're getting the pie, pizza pie shape. We're going to fold it in half one more time. Yes, we've got a question.
We have quite a few questions regarding if they can use cupcake liners instead.
You can also use cupcake liners. Yes, your flowers will just be a lot smaller, but you can also use cupcake liners. All right, so you guys see the shape? We folded it in half until we got to that small triangle, what looks like a slice of pizza. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our cup of water, go ahead and put it over your paper towel, and now here's the deal. We're gonna dip this down into our water, but you don't need to submerge it. Okay, so we're gonna only dip it partway down and then bring it back up, okay? We wanna let it dip. You don't need to dip the entire thing in, so let it drip off, okay? Just like that. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna open it back up, okay? So we're gonna unfold it. And remember, you gotta have a paper towel or something down, and you're gonna start to see this really cool tie-dyed pattern that's happening on your coffee filter. Now this is pretty wet, guys. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this aside. So grab another paper towel or a tissue or something you have to cover your surface, and we're gonna let that sit and dry for a few minutes. Do we wanna do one more so that we can see it again? All right, so we're gonna pick out 2 more colors. So you guys grab another coffee filter, and let's pick out 2 more colors to use. All right, so get your coffee filter. Remember, pull it out of your stack, and we can reuse the same water. Make sure that you don't have 2, we just wanna have 1. And then you wanna flatten it out on your paper towel. And we're gonna draw some designs. Now this one, we're just gonna do some polka dots. So again, the last one we did some squiggly lines. This one, we're just gonna do a bunch of big polka dots, but you guys can do shapes. You can just do a bunch of straight lines around it, whatever you want. And as you make more and more of these, you'll see how the colors run together and how the different patterns that you use affect that when it gets wet. Another way that you can do it is if you have a paintbrush, you can also take your paintbrush and dip it in the water and come over top of this. But for this purpose, we're gonna use our cup of water because it's the easiest. All right, so we've got our design. We're gonna fold it in half again. Okay, so we folded it in half once. We're going to fold it in half again. Okay, so if you didn't see it, let's do it again. Okay, we started with our whole coffee filter. We're gonna fold it in half once. And then we're gonna fold it in half again. Okay, and then we're gonna fold it in half again. So remember, we get that, what looks like a piece of pizza or a pie. All right, give you guys a second to get it folded. All right, and then we're gonna take our cup of water, okay, and we're gonna dip it down into our water. You don't have to submerge the whole thing. So we're just gonna do a little dip and pull it up. And we're using the same cup of water, so you don't have to worry about it blending. And you wanna let it really drip dry back into that cup. Okay, let's move our cup aside. And then on our paper towel, what we're gonna do is we're gonna open it back up. Okay, so we're folding it open and we're gonna lay it out so we can start to see our design. So you guys can see what the polka dots did. How cool is that? All right, so now this is really wet, okay? So we're gonna set it aside to let it dry. All right, Rosanna, do we need to slow down and do another one so the kids can see it?
Can you please do another one?
Yes, we can do another one. All right, guys, so take your coffee filter. We're gonna start from the beginning again, okay? So take your coffee filter and we wanna pull it out, okay? And you can use your hands to kind of smooth it and flatten it to make it easy on yourself, all right? And then you wanna pick out your colors. So each time we're doing some different colors. This time I think I'm gonna do blue and then we'll do our golden yellow. So go ahead and pick out 2 colors and you can do a design. So on this one, we're just gonna do some lightning bolts. So I'm gonna start at the outside and do my lightning bolts all over. So remember, you can do polka dots, you can do squiggly lines. It's up to you. You can also use a 3rd color if you'd like as well. All right, so we're gonna end those here. And then you know what? Let's get crazy. We'll add in green too to this one. And this time, we're just gonna do some straight lines in between. So some straight lines in between, just like that. All right, so I'll give you guys a second to finish your design. So once you've got it ready, remember this doesn't have to be perfect, guys. It can be a whole bunch of squiggly lines. All right, you see it? Now it's time to get it ready to dip in the water. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fold it in half. Fold it in half. We're gonna use our fingers and we're gonna crease it. And then we're gonna fold it in half again. We're getting to that pizza pie slice. Fold it in half again, use your fingers to crease it. And then we're gonna do our last fold in half again, okay? Go ahead and crease it. So now you have your pizza pie. Yes, we got a question.
Do they have to do 3 colors or can they stop at 1 color?
Yep. So you guys can do 1 color, 2 colors, 3 colors, 4 colors, 5 colors. So it's up to you. I like doing at least 2 so that the colors kind of mesh together and you get that tie-dyed look. But you can do as many colors as you want or as little as you want. All right, do you guys see that? So remember, we folded. I'll do the fold one more time for this is our last one that we're doing. So we started in the center. We folded it in half once. So fold it in half once. And then we folded it in half again. And then we're folding it in half one more time to get to that pizza pie slice. Okay? Now we're going to take our cup of water, and we're using the exact same cup that we've used. We can use it more times. And we're going to dip this in the water. But remember, we don't have to dip the entire thing in there. We can just dip about halfway down. So we're going to dip it in real quick and pull it out. We're going to let it drip to bring off all that excess marker. And then once it's done dripping, we're going to move our cup aside and we're going to unfold it. So unfold it in half, and you can kind of see how all of these colors are molding together. So you guys can get creative with whatever colors you want. All right, so we want to carefully pull this guy apart. And then if there's any excess, you can just let it drain off on your paper towel. And now you can see it's pretty wet. So I've got some paper towels started over here. So I'm just laying these out to dry, okay? So we're gonna let these dry. It's gonna take about 20 minutes for them to dry until we're ready to turn them into flowers. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get started on craft number 2 while these dry. And then by the time we finish craft number 2, we'll be ready to make those into flowers. So now we're gonna clean up our surface a little bit. So you can just put this excess paper towel aside, and we're gonna put out some new paper towels. If you've got some paper or something down on your surface, go ahead and do that. I don't want your parents to get mad at you for making a mess. All right, so we're gonna put our coffee filters aside, and for this project, we're gonna learn how to do stamp rolling. So here is what we're going to be using. We're going to be using our Crayola washable paint, okay? So and you can pick out whichever colors you want. Here I have pink, I have orange, I have blue, red, and yellow. Those are the colors I decided to use, but you guys can use whatever colors you want. You're also going to need a glue stick. So we've got our Crayola glue stick here. We're going to use that glue stick. And then you're also going to need some sponge brushes. So these can be this type of sponge brush, or you can have a bouncer one, but we're going to need some sponge brushes. We're also going to need some foam stickers. So you guys probably have some of these. Michael sells a whole big bag of them. So we're going to need some foam stickers. And then we're also going to use some rubber bands. And then we are going to use some craft rolls, and then some of this really fun packing bubble wrap. I don't know about you guys, but I love popping these. But we're gonna actually use this for our craft this time. So you're gonna need a piece of bubble wrap as well. And we're going to take our craft rolls. So craft rolls come in a whole bunch of different sizes. So you've got your smaller ones, and you've also got your larger ones, okay? So we're gonna get our craft rolls ready first. Yes, we've got a question.
Can you use any type of paint, or can you use acrylic paint?
Yes. So you can, we're using the Crayola washable paint here. You can also use Crayola acrylic paint. You can also use fabric paint if you'd like as well. So those will all work. Now we're going to be stamping on fabric. So we're going to stamp a tote bag. And then we're also going to stamp on cardstock. So both will work. All of those types of paint will work on both. Now you do use your washable paint on a piece of fabric. You can't put it in the washing machine. You can just spot clean it. So that's some advice for your parents. Okay, so back to getting our craft rolls ready. Now, it's easier if you have a smaller craft roll. So if you do have a larger one, like you see here, let's go ahead and just cut it in half. And this might be something that your parents need to help you with, but go ahead and cut it in half to make it a smaller piece. So we're gonna start with our foam sticker shapes. So you guys can see that these come in circles, squares, we've got triangles. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna peel off the backs of these and we're gonna go ahead and put them on one craft roll. So I'm gonna just pick a variety of shapes and I'm gonna space them out throughout my craft roll. Just make sure that you're pulling off the backs, and when you put them on your craft roll, just go ahead and stick them nice and good. So just use your finger to rub them on there. And what's gonna happen, you'll see when we do this, these shapes are going to transfer to the projects that we're stamping. So I've even got this fun guy that I took the outline of some shapes that came in my pack. I'm gonna put that right there. And I wanna make sure that I cover them all. Now, if you guys need me to slow down or you have questions, just remember Rosanna's monitoring those as well. So she'll shout those out to me as we go. So I'm alternating my shapes. We're gonna just put these. You can also use a roll from a piece of wrapping paper as well. So if you have a wrapping paper roll, you can take the cardboard roll that's inside of there out, and you can have your parents cut it into smaller pieces for you. Yes, we got a question.
We've got a few questions.
Okay.
What if you don't have bubble wrap?
Okay.
Is there a substitute?
So if you don't have bubble wrap, you can really wrap this with anything that has texture. So if you've got maybe some lace ribbon, you can also use that. You could also crinkle up newspaper and put that around your craft roll as well. So it's not necessary to have bubble wrap because I'm going to show you 3 different stamp rolls that we're making. So maybe you only have supplies for one of them. That's okay. You can just stick with stamping with that one. All right, so we've got pretty much almost our whole roll covered. I'm going to add one more square over here. So we're making 3 different types of stampers, but you don't have to make all 3. You can just do one. All right, so this is our one with our shapes. All right, so you see how this is? We're going to set this one aside, and we're going to make our next one. So we're going to take some rubber bands. Okay, so any rubber bands will work. If there are larger rubber bands, we'll just loop them around more times. So take your craft roll, and we're gonna put our rubber bands around our craft roll. Now we can just put them around once, or we can put them around twice. You don't want them to be too tight so that it collapses your craft roll. So if one time is tight enough to get it to stay on there snugly, you can. What I'm doing is when I put them on, I'm kind of crisscrossing them over each other so that I get some cool designs. So when you slide it on, you can always kind of move them around and kind of have them overlap each other. But we want to go ahead and fill up our whole craft roll. Okay? We'll put some more on this end. Now, if you don't have rubber bands, you can also use yarn. So what you can do is you can glue a piece of yarn to the end of it, and you can wrap it around. So it will look like this. So if you don't have rubber bands, you can always use yarn, or you can use string. All you would do is glue it at the end with your glue, and then wrap it all the way around and kind of crisscross as you go, and then glue it at the other end. Okay, so yarn or string can be a substitute if you don't have rubber bands. All right, so that's number 2. Number 3 is going to be with our bubble wrap. So we're going to take our piece of craft roll, and we've got our Crayola glue stick. What we're going to do is we're going to pop off the end, and we're going to glue our bubble wrap to our glue stick. But we want to make sure that our bubbles, so the sides that you can feel the bubbles, that's going to be facing outward. So make sure that that is what you're going to lay on the table, and the smooth side is what is facing up, okay? So we're going to put our glue all over our craft roll, okay? So go ahead and cover that with a lot of glue. So we're going to put as much as I can because we really want that guy to stay stuck. Make sure you've got the whole thing covered. And then we're going to set our craft roll down on our bubble wrap. And we're going to wrap our bubble wrap, lightly pressing it as we go because we don't want to pop those bubbles. We want those bubbles for the cool texture they're going to stamp on our projects. All right, so make sure that it is nice and stuck, so lightly press it. And then if you have a little bit extra left over, you can always just cut that extra off. So we'll just turn that off. Okay, so we made 3 types of stamp rolls. So let's go over those 3 again. I'll show you guys those. And we've got some alternatives before we get started stamping. So we started by taking our foam sticker shapes and just sticking them all around our craft roll. And remember, your craft rolls can come from all sorts of places. Have your parents help you find some. And then we put our rubber bands around this one. And if you don't have rubber bands, you can always use yarn and put our yarn around it. So you can glue some yarn around it as a substitute. And then last but not least, we did our bubble wrap. So we glued our piece of bubble wrap around our craft roll. All right, so now is the time when we get to pick out our colors of paint. And we can pick out what type of surface we want to stamp on. So we're gonna start with a tote bag. So I'm really excited about this. This is gonna be fun. So we're gonna have our tote bag kind of sitting off to the side to get ready. Yes, we've got a question.
What if they don't have a cardboard roll?
So if you don't have a cardboard roll, you could always make one with a piece of cardstock. You could also take a flat piece of cardboard and do the same thing by putting on stickers to it, or also gluing some yarn to it, or putting rubber bands around it. So you could do it with a flat piece. The only difference in stamping is we're gonna roll this stamp across our project. If you're using a flat piece of cardboard, you'll just stamp it straight up and straight down. So same way, and that could be a scrap piece of cardboard that you have at home, or you could roll a heavy piece of cardstock into a roll and glue it into the shape of a tube, and you can use this as a substitute. Do we have any more questions before we move on?
No, we're good.
Okay, all right, so we've got our colors picked out. So we're gonna pick 3 of these different colors for now, since we're gonna use 3 of our stampers. So I'm gonna start with my orange, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put a little bit of each on a paper plate, okay? So using any paper plate will work for this. And let's do some blue. We'll put some blue, just spread out your colors, but you can use 1 paper plate for all of them. And then let's do some red. But remember guys, you can pick out whatever colors you want. Okay, so now once we get them on, we're gonna do 1 stamper at a time. Make sure you've got plenty of room on your space so that you can spread out. But for our first one, let's go ahead and do our shape since we made that one first, okay? So we're gonna get our tote bag ready before we put some paint on our stamper. So go ahead and put your tote bag out. What I recommend doing is just take a piece of paper or something to put it inside your tote bag. The paint shouldn't bleed through, but just in case, if you've got a thin tote bag, it might. So just put a piece of paper inside of there. Now, we're going to use foam brushes. You can use regular paint brushes as well. The foam brush just helps you get the paint on quicker. So we're going to take this and we're going to start with our orange. And I'm going to dip my stamper, my brush into my paint. So you can see I've got it fully covered with paint. And then I'm going to hold my stamper by putting my fingers inside the roll, okay? And then I'm going to take my paint and I'm just going to use my foam brush and I'm going to make sure that I get all of my shapes covered. Now, if you get it on other places on your craft roll, it's not a big deal because these surfaces are raised, so those will be the only ones that pretty much hit the surface that you're rolling onto. So all I'm doing with my stamper is I'm dipping it in my paint and I'm applying my paint to my shapes that are on my roller, okay? So I'm gonna give you guys a second to do that, and you don't need a ton of paint. So if you do think you've got a lot of globs, you can always stamp some off, but it doesn't need to be a lot, okay? So making sure we got all those. All right, how are we doing, guys? Do we need to slow down a little bit? Just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a second. All I'm doing is I'm adding paint to my roll. Okay, yes, question?
If they don't have a tote bag, what else can you use?
Yep, so I'm going to show you how to use a piece of cardstock that you can actually create a card with, which we've got over here. You can also do it on a wooden frame. You could do it on a t-shirt. So you can really do this on almost any surface. But after we do the tote bag, I'm also going to show you how it looks on paper as well, and then I'll show you what it looks like on a wooden frame. All right, you guys ready? Okay, so now you can start anywhere in your tote bag. Let me make sure that you guys can see the full tote bag here. We'll move our paint over here. Make sure you guys have a good view. All right, so we've got our tote bag. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to set it right at the bottom, and I'm going to lightly press it down, and I'm going to keep my fingers inside my roll. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my fingers, and I'm going to roll it all the way down. And you'll notice as we go, we start to fade a little bit because we have less and less paint, but it looks really neat, guys. All right, what do you think? Okay, so now what we can do is we can do two things. If we want to switch colors on here, if we want to do this one again, we can just take a paper towel or an excess piece of paper and just roll this off. Do we have a question? Did I see a hand? Okay, sorry, I thought I saw a hand. So just use an excess paper towel to dab off your excess paint, and you can always rinse it off, but I think it's actually kind of cool when the colors mix. So maybe we want to do some blue in this one. So we're going to take some blue. I've got another stamper over here. So you guys can see us do it again. We're going to add some blue to our shapes. So you can do the same color again, or you can always switch up your colors. All we did was just roll it off on an excess paper towel or piece of paper, whatever you have, and get that extra orange off so we can stamp on some blue. Now, if your colors mix together, it's totally okay. I'm going to show you a cool card I made where my colors mix together when we get to the end. All right, so make sure that as you're stamping, you're covering all of your shapes. See, we've got them all covered. Okay, so now for this one, what we're gonna do is we went straight on this one. How about we go on a diagonal? So I'm gonna start at the edge over here. And what you'll notice is I'm a little bit off my tote bag. So just put your paper towel or a piece of paper there so you don't get it on your table. And I'm gonna slowly put my fingers inside and roll it. And then I'm gonna stop right there. So you can kind of decide which way you go on and off of your tote bag. All right, so we're gonna move on to our next stamper. So since we made our rubber band one second, we're gonna do that one now. We're gonna go ahead and do that one in orange, or excuse me, in red. So we've got a different kind of foam brush. I'm showing you guys that you can use all different kinds of brushes for these. Put your fingers inside of it to help you hold it so that you're not touching the outside of it. And then we're gonna dip our brush in our red paint. And what we're gonna do is we're just gonna dab. And we wanna make sure that we get those rubber bands covered, because those rubber bands are what are raised off the surface of our craft roll, and those are what's gonna give us the pattern on our tote bag, okay? So we're gonna use our foam brush. And if you guys have questions as I'm going through, Rosanna is monitoring the questions. So chat those to her. If you need me to repeat a step, I can as well. And keep in mind, if you guys did miss any part of this, you can always go back. It will be posted. This video will be posted on michaels.com tomorrow. So give it about a day. So you can go back and rewatch this if you want to make it again, or you still have some questions that we did not get to. Right? So we're using our foam brush to go all the way around and make sure all of our rubber bands, so no matter what color your rubber bands were to start, they should end being whatever color paint you decided to use. Okay? So we've got it all covered. Give you guys a second to keep adding your paint so you can see what it looks like. All right. Are you guys loving it? I also want to see your projects. Can you guys show me what colors you're picking? All right. I want to be able to see what you guys are doing. So show me what color you picked on your roll. Hold it up to the camera. All right, guys, that looks super cool. I'm so excited. Okay, I'm going to have you show me your finished project when we get done. So I'm excited to see what you guys are doing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do this guy. Let's do him from this corner. Okay, so remember, we don't have to do straight lines. We can always do diagonal lines as well. So we're going to put our fingers inside our craft roll, and we're going to set it down, and then we're going to just slowly apply a little bit of pressure, and we're going to roll. And we're going to lift it up and only do a little part that time. Now, you'll notice we didn't go all the way around. So what we can do, because we still got some paint on here, we can go up to the top corner, and we can start at the top, and we can roll in. There we go. And you can always crisscross these designs as well. So you can see kind of the difference. You got these cool little lines from the rubber bands. Remember how we talked about how we crisscrossed some of them when we were putting them on our craft roll? Well, you can see those ones. So the texture is really cool. So if you guys do this again, you can experiment with how you line your rubber bands up on your craft roll. So we're going to set this one aside. Now, guys, you can always reuse these too. Just wipe them off with a paper towel. Don't use water because it will disintegrate your craft roll. But you can always reuse them. So just wipe them dry with a paper towel and let them dry before you store them. So you can keep doing it over and over again. All right, now it's time to use our bubble wrap one. Okay, so I think we're going to do blue with this one. So I'm going to grab my blue stamper, and I'm going to go ahead and put my fingers again inside my craft roll. I'm going to grab some blue paint on my foam brush, and I'm just going to dab my foam brush onto my bubble wrap stamper. Now I want to just make sure that I'm getting all of my bubbles, and you can see the bubbles come through, so you can easily see if they're covered with paint or not as you go. So we're going to go all the way around. Okay, and you guys can pick whatever color you want. Make sure you get all of them. Do a little bit more, and I'll give you guys a second to go ahead and get them. Yes, we've got a question.
Can you remind everyone what kind of paint you're using?
Yep, so I am using Crayola's Washable paint. You can also use Crayola acrylic paint as well. So you guys can see it here. Michaels has it. You can get it from Michaels. So you can see our craft roll. All right, so we're going to do the same exact thing that we did with our other ones. So I'm going to actually start down at the bottom, and I'm going to roll mine straight up to meet our red rubber band marks. I'm going to start it right here, and then I'm going to use my fingers. And guys, I think this one is so cool. This one's one of my favorites. All right, so we're going to go ahead and roll up. How cool is that, guys? I don't know about you, but I'm excited. Okay, so now we can stop there. You guys can keep adding patterns, but I want to see what you guys have made. So hold it up to the camera so I can see your projects. I want to see what everyone is doing. Awesome, guys. They look so cool. I'm so proud of you. Now, I know your parents probably want to brag on you. So if you do, if they take a picture, make sure they share it and they use the hashtag #MakeItWithMichaels and hashtag Crayola Crafts so that we can all see how you've created some awesome projects. Okay, so now what we're going to do really quick is I'm going to show you what it looks like on cardstock. So here's our tote bag. We want to set it aside. We want to let it dry. I want to show you guys another one too. So check out this one. Using the same thing. So we just did a lot of diagonal patterns. So there are lots of different options. You guys, I know, will get super creative with this. So now you can also do this with cardstock. So you can also use a piece of construction paper as well. But if you want to make a card, just use a thicker piece of cardstock. Crayola's got some really great cardstock that you can use. I'm going to set this guy down here to dry. So same techniques. We've got our piece of paper. We want to decide which side of that we want to use and put it down on our surface. And then we can start with our blue, since we just used that one. We'll add some more paint to it. And you can also layer these as well. So we can go ahead and do our blue, and then maybe we'll come back over it with some red rubber band lines. All right, so these are great to make some cards. You can make cards and send them to your friends in the mail. It's always a fun thing to do. All right, so I've got my paint on it just like we did when we were doing the tote bag. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just roll this straight down, and I'm gonna roll it over my paper. So you can see how crisp and cool that looks. What do you guys think? All right, so check it out. I'm gonna hold it up so you guys can see it. So you got this really fun pattern. So now you could come back with your rubber band one, and we could add some red, and we could put some red on our rubber bands, and we can roll it over it. So you can layer these as well. So we're just gonna add a little paint to here, but the possibilities are endless. Remember, guys, you can do this on paper, you can do it on a t-shirt, a tote bag, you can do it on a wooden frame as well. There's lots. You can do it on construction paper. There are lots of different ways you can do it. Now, if you do use your washable paint on a tote bag or a t-shirt, keep in mind it is spot clean only. All right, so what I'm gonna do with this one, I'm just gonna roll it right over it. That's it. So I'm gonna start it right here, and I'm just gonna roll it right over that pattern that we already had. So just like that, we now have a layered pattern. And then what you can do is you can turn this into a card. So it's still a little wet. We'd wanna let it dry, but fold it in half, and you can create a card. Got a nice little card that you can give to someone special in your life. Now, here is a smaller card. Remember I said if you're doing the rollers, you can put multiple colors on any of your stampers at the same time. So I used my red, my orange, and my blue, and you can kind of see how they all blended together to make this card. And I'm gonna show you one more really quick. So I took a wooden frame, and we painted it blue. So we used our blue to paint it first, and then I rolled my stamper right over it. So there's a lot of different cool things that you can do with these. All right, so that is stamp rolling. Can I see your final projects, guys? Can you show me what you've done? I love it. You guys are so crafty. Amazing. All right, so let's go back and let's finish off our coffee filter flowers. Okay, so these guys have been drying over here. And so yours might still be a little bit damp, but they should, for the most part, be pretty dry. Mine are fairly dry. Okay, so that took about 20-ish minutes until they got dry. Now, if you want to speed up the drying process, and it's not raining outside, you can always put them out in the sun to dry faster, or you could also use a blow dryer. Just be careful, use that with an adult helping you supervise, okay? So now we're going to take our Chanel stems, also known as pipe cleaners. we've got our green ones, okay? You can use any color you want. If you don't have pipe cleaners, you can also use floral wire as well, or you could use a straw. If you've got a straw, you can always glue them around a straw, but we're gonna use pipe cleaners for this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start in the center. We're gonna start with one and then we'll do a couple others. Pick it up from the center. So pinch your fingers right in the center of it, okay? So all I did was I took the center and I took my 2 fingers and I pinched it right there, okay? And we wanna pick it up and then we want to hold it like that. So hold it pinched in your 2 fingers and we're gonna use our other hand to gather it up, okay? So just like that, we're gonna gather it. So I'll bring it back out so you guys can see it. So pinch, we pinched it with our 2 fingers. So we used our 2 fingers, we pinched it, and then we gathered it up, okay? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold it right there at the bottom. And so you guys can see that, get closer for you. We're gonna take our pipe cleaner, and we're gonna take our end, and we're gonna twist it around that edge. Don't worry guys, I'm gonna go back and do this again so that you can see it. So we're gonna twist that pipe cleaner around the edge just a few times so it stays nice and sturdy. And then we've got a flower. So just like that, how cool is that? All right, let's do it again. So we're gonna set that flower down. Let's take another one. Okay, so remember it's laying out flat. It's pretty much almost dry. We're gonna use our 2 fingers right here and we're gonna pinch it, okay? So we're gonna hold it in those 2 fingers. So again, take your 2 fingers, grab it right in the center and just pinch it. And then we're gonna flip it up. So we're holding it like that, you can see it from the side. Use your other hand to help gather it into the flower. And then hold it right there at the end, okay? And then we're gonna take our pipe cleaner and we're going to twist it around. And we're gonna twist it a couple times around. All right, so as you guys are starting to make your flowers, I wanna see them. Can you hold them up? I wanna see them. Let's see what you guys have made. Wow, those colors are so cool, guys. I love them. They look amazing. All right, so got another flower. We're gonna go ahead and do it with our 3rd one, and I'm gonna show you what it's like to put 2 together. So I'm gonna grab another one from back here. All right, so we've got 2 here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pinch both of them. Ready? We're about to be magicians. We're gonna pinch both of them. So laying down with both of our fingers, we're gonna pinch them and we're gonna flip them, okay? So we're gonna pinch them and we're gonna flip them. Okay, now what we're gonna do, since we only have 2 hands, we're gonna gather them with all of our fingers, okay? And we're gonna hold them together. So put them together in one hand and they look kind of messy, right? That's okay. Use your other hand to kind of fluff them up. And that's putting 2 coffee filters together. So you can stick with just one, but if you wanna make a flower that's a little bit fuller, and then hold that end, and we're gonna take our pipe cleaner, and we're gonna wrap it around the bottom. Yes, we've got a question.
Can you remind everybody what they can use if they don't have pipe cleaners?
Yes, if you don't have pipe cleaners, you can use floral wire, or you could also use a straw. You could even use a stick that you found outside. Now, if you use a straw, what you're gonna have to do is you're going to have to glue it. So let's take another one and I'll kind of show you. Let's pretend this is a straw, okay? So you'll do the same thing. You'll gather it from the center, and we'll use our other hand to gather it together. Oh, I think someone's grabbing me a straw. All right, so we've got a straw. We've got a great team here. So we've got a straw. So what you would do for this is you can do 2 things. You can glue it to the outside. So you could put some glue right here on the straw, and then you could glue it to the outside, and you could actually glue a couple of them around here. Or you can put some liquid glue right on the inside of the straw, and you can stick it on the inside, okay? So I'm just putting it there to hold it there. You definitely need to put some glue so that it would stay. So a couple different options, and then you can put them all together, and you can make a bouquet. So look at how pretty they all look together. So I've got a full bouquet right here. So check out this full bouquet of flowers. So there are lots of different fun things that you can do. And another idea that Crayola has created is also doing a wreath. So you can also tie them onto a wreath. So just use your pipe cleaners and you can wrap them around. So there are so many different ideas that Crayola has that you can use these, and I'm sure you guys will come up with a ton more. Now I want to see what you guys have made, so hold it up one last time. Check out those final projects. You guys can hold up both as well. Good job, guys. I'm so proud of you, and today is the first day. So those are the two crafts for today. Now tomorrow, I will be back again at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central. And tomorrow, we're using Model Magic, and we're gonna make rock animals and pencil toppers, and we're gonna do something really cool with a terracotta pot to hold those pencils and pencil toppers. So you can go to michaels.com to sign up for tomorrow's class, but make sure you sign up ahead of time. And there will be a different Kids Club with Crayola every day this week. Same time, 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central. So I've got lots of fun stuff planned for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me to craft. You guys have been amazing. Do we have any last minute questions, Rosanna?
Yeah, is there a substitute for the wreath?
Yes. Okay, so instead of using a wreath form, which she didn't think I could answer that, but I got an answer for you. So instead of using a wreath form, you can cut out a circle out of cardboard and then cut out a smaller circle. So you can form a wreath out of a piece of scrap cardboard. And then you could tie your flowers around it. You could also paint your cardboard with any of your Crayola paints. You could also color it with your Crayola markers as well. All right, any other last minute questions, Rosanna?
No, that's it.
All right, you guys have been amazing to craft with. Thank you so much. I'm Lynn Lilly with Crayola, and I will be back tomorrow. So make sure you get signed up. We're here this entire week, and we've got some really fun crafts planned for you guys. All right, that's all I've got for you. Bye, kids.